Hey, all right. Hey, Jamie again. So I was kind of sitting here, and I said I was going to do a review of these kind of later, and I decided, well, I'll just do it right now. So in my hand is the Alden 405, aka the Indiana Jones boot. Like they now actually call it the Indy boot. So um, I was a huge fan of these. I was a huge fan when I first saw them, 10 years ago, and I was at least made aware that these were the boots that were actually used in the movie. And so for me, it was definitely on the list. Now, these boots are not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. These ones when I bought them were $575. So yeah, they aren't cheap, clearly. Now here's the thing. So last couple of years, I work a regular job and, go to work every day and, well, not now, who the hell does? But anyways, going to work every day and whatnot, you would wear, I mean, obviously, you buy your dress shoes and you tend to wear those dress shoes out. And one of the things that I discovered a while back was if you buy good dress shoes, not only are they going to last longer in general, but they can be recrafted. And what I mean by recrafting is the sole comes off the shoe, a new sole gets put onto the shoe, everything's kind of re-cleaned up and made just a lot better. And so the point is that if you buy a decent quality pair of dress shoes, Allen Edmonds is by far that's my dress shoe go-to. You can get a really decent dress shoe from Allen Edmonds, especially on sale, for anywhere between $200 to $300 pretty easily. Now, I know you compare that to, like, say, $100 pair of dress shoes. There are pretty dramatic differences between them. And I know this is more on the Alden boot, but there's a reason why I'm telling you all this. So, whether it's Allen Edmonds or it's these Aldens or whatever it is, right? They typically are made out of actual, they're obviously leather. That's everybody knows that a shoe's leather, but there's a massive difference in the leathers. You get top grain leather, which a top grain leather is going to be a leather where the leather's physically kind of shaved down to kind of get rid of some of those imperfections in it, and then it's dyed or painted, etc. A full grain leather, on the other hand, is going to have any of the imperfections. So if the cow has a scratch he got or a mark or something, that stuff will appear on the final product for the most part. It adds a little bit of character to the leather. It makes it just overall it makes it different. It gives it character. That's it. I mean, that's really the best way of saying it. I think it gives it character, and it tends to wear better. Now, what you will find is with cheaper leather shoes, they're skinned down even more. And the other problem that comes along with that is, it ends up being painted leather. And when a leather is painted, as it wears down, you're actually the paint's just wearing off of it. So, I mean, it kind of sucks. I mean, if you have a pair of dress shoes, you get 6 months down the road, you almost start looking like you're trying to like you almost need to buy a new pair of dress shoes because they're so beat up and the soles are torn up and they just aren't looking real good. They don't hold their shape real well at all. And they just kind of start falling apart, and then you have to replace them again. When you get into a shoe like this, and I know this is the boot, of course, we're going to talk about this. This is a completely recraftable. So this is all stitched in here. This is a cork sole. And you can see the stitching all the way around here too. And so when these boots wear down, while this isn't a full 360-degree welt, you can still replace giant chunks of this shoe. And so the leather will stay good. I mean, as long as you keep leather in good condition, I mean, you can have leather last forever and ever and ever. But, soles wear down. I mean, the more you wear them, you're going to wear them down. Stitching goes bad, things of that nature. So you're definitely going to wear out the heels. This, though, can be recrafted. So why I'm telling you this is because if you happen to wear dress shoes and then you look at like a boot and you're looking at a boot that's $600 and you're going, holy shit, man, how are we going to, Jesus, right? It's because this boot, I will never replace this boot ever. I mean, this is the only Alden 405 boot I'm ever going to own in my entire life, or at least as far as I'm able to determine. The boot itself is made completely out of calf skin. It's a dyed boot as opposed to being painted. As I said, the sole can be replaced, the heel can be replaced. The inside, now the original boots were actually a cotton on the inside. This is a really, really soft calfskin. I mean, it's soft in there. Personally, for me, I'd rather it be like this as opposed to the canvas lining or duck lining, whatever the heck they call it, or flannel lining. I don't. I sorry, not completely up to date on that. But for me, this is perfect. This is what I would go with. Aldens do run big, from everything I understand, especially in this particular last. There's a metal shank that does run through the center. They are considered an orthopedic boot, and I will be frank with you. I will, if my back starts hurting or anything of that nature, I will actually tend to wear these just because of the simple fact that they genuinely do help. Like I feel like I'm getting a lot more support, and I feel like they're just overall better. So with that said, I want to say I've worn these boots 25-ish times at this point, almost for sure. I'm starting to get some really, really nice, kind of wearing and some good patina. I did accidentally like get some grease right in here, but I was able to kind of clean that up. And I actually ended up putting a little bit of shoe polish on there, which took these laces or the stitching, and instead of it being, super, super white, like as you can kind of see right here, and it kind of darkened them just a little bit. So they not blended. That's not quite the right word, but they gave it a little bit of aging to them. I wear these boots all the time. I originally obviously bought them as, they were a bucket list item for sure as well, just like this hat was. I wear them just all the time, especially in, winter. We're starting to warm up here, as I said in my last video. So these will probably, I got maybe another month where I'll be able to wear them before that shot, unfortunately. But that's why I say, like, this boot, realistically, I should not have to recraft this boot. If I wear them just as much as I wore them over this winter, 10 years. That's really, that's a guess. Obviously, I do not know, but I'm just judging by what I've seen. I've worn these on concrete. I've worn them in the house just because I like them. Just a great boot. Well worth it to me. I know it's a big chunk of change to swallow, but if you're genuinely in the market for a pair of boots, I can't recommend these enough. For me, they just really are they're just something else. Like I said, I had been after them for a while, and they were just out of my budget range for a very, very long time. But I get compliments on these all the time. Like if I wear them at all, even the condition they're in right now, just random people, just completely random. I walked into a McDonald's, and a woman was sitting there. She was mopping the floor and multiple times made comments because those are really nice shoes. I don't get that. Like even with my Allen Edmonds, as much as I love them, I don't really get those kind of compliments. I think I did on one of the pairs I had. Sorry, one of the pairs I had, I did get those kind of compliments. But this boot especially, I really just get a lot of compliments. And that's just a bonus. I didn't buy them for that reason. I bought them because I liked them. What else can I tell you? They have these speed locks up at the top, or speed lace locks at the top. So it does help to kind of stitch them up a little bit quicker. And it does make it a lot easier. When you take off this boot, it's like you pop those 4 out and you slide your foot right out. Easy to get on because of that reason too. I do use cedar trees inside of there. I do always recommend you wear or put a cedar tree or a shoe tree inside of your boots or your nice dress shoes or whatnot to help hold its shape. And so it doesn't, start doing curls or any of that other weird stuff. So it kind of holds itself up. There is massive debate over the colors of these boots in the actual films. A lot of people said they were more of like a patent leather, chocolate leather, some of that nature, kind of deal. Look, I don't know about any of that stuff. I've not been able to confirm or deny any of it because I can't find any real details on it, other than what is hearsay. There's a lot of that kind of goes on in these hobbies. There's a lot of hearsay. My opinion is I think this is the real color. This is kind of like considered a brick red brownish color, for lack of a better way of saying it. That's with straight up sunlight on it. And obviously, I don't know how good this camera is technically, but that's how it looks right here in my room or in my office. As soon as I drop the lighting down on these, though, they do take on a darker brown color, which signifies to me that how right are we? Like, you're talking about difference in color variances in films and their filters and whatnot. So it's very hard to determine what the real color of these were, again, in my opinion. I've only seen one pair of screen worn boots, and unfortunately, and that was at the Academy Museum 5 years ago, 6 years ago now, when they did kind of a pop-up museum. I know they have a full one that's opening at the end of this year. But yeah, I don't know if they're gonna have an Indy display or not, so I don't even want to speculate. I don't even know which boots they actually had in that display. I have no pictures of it. I know there's some stuff online, but it's really, really hard to tell from what I've seen. So if you watch the movie, there's a few things to pay attention to that stand out to me. The best shot of the color of these boots, in my opinion, is when they're in the truck, when they're driving the truck. There is a part where, he knocks the guy's foot away or whatever, and Harrison Ford or stunt double or whoever it is hits the gas wearing the boots, and clear as day to me, it's this color. So the point is, and I'm gonna dish these laces really quick. Now I've been wearing, like I said, I've been wearing these I want to say about 25 times or so, maybe more, maybe less, but either way. Now you can see right there, that's the original color. And that's kind of roughly the color now. And there's a definite shade kind of difference there. So this tongue has stayed lighter because it's not as exposed to the sun and to the elements, versus the regular part of the boot has absolutely darkened. And I know I said I put some shoe polish on. That was only kind of up in here, and that was really just in this area. I didn't do anything with this or anything else. But that was just up in here to kind of even these laces out a little bit with a little bit of brown. Nothing else on this boot I touched, though. This is exactly how it was when I got it. So again, I mean, you can see the definite kind of lightness of the color here compared to once we get over here. Again, I don't know. Okay. I'm going off speculation. I'm going off of my personal opinion on what I think the color of the boots were. Alden does have the 403's. The 403's are a much darker brown. They are a chromexyl leather, which is a little different process on doing the leather. It's also a very nice boot. I had those for a day. I ordered them. I got them in. There ended up being like this little flaw up here that I wasn't super thrilled was there. And I couldn't find this boot anywhere, not at least locally. There's two stores locally that sell them. One store does not carry the 405. They just carry the 403. I thought they were a great looking boot. But I really, really, really wanted to see the 405. And I thought to myself, like, okay, let me order the 405. If I don't like them, then I'll just send them back. I mean, it's really easy, right? I mean, you got free returns and, et cetera. But I just fell in love. As soon as I took them out of the box, I was like, yeah, I tried them on, being very careful to not flex the toe, because as soon as you flex that toe, you own them. And I was just sold. I was like, that's it. And as I've been wearing them, and they've gotten more and more worn in and more comfortable and stuff, it's just, yeah, best purchase, best purchase of the year. I love my hat. And Michelle, if you happen to watch this, I genuinely love my hat, but I love these boots. I love them. So again, highly recommend. I know there are some knockoffs out there. I know that Weston makes some, and Magnolia Clothers makes some, but the one thing about Magnolia, is that how you say it? The one thing I don't like about theirs is they're as expensive as these. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't I just get these? Now, for all I know, and again, I have no idea. It may just be this boot that they're selling. I haven't looked that closely in detail, but I wouldn't. If they're selling a knockoff brand for the same price as these, I don't know why you would ever get them. Strictly my opinion, of course. But anyways, yeah, my favorite boot. And by the way, I hate touching the bottom of shoes. You have any idea where these things go? It's disgusting. So the fact I'm even doing this to show you is ridiculous. I see up there Martini. It's funny, my dog's name is Marty, and his nickname is McFly, and it was kind of named after Marty McFly. So I dig your name just for that very reason right there, as a just a little tribute as well. But yeah, I agree with you. I have not had any of the knockoffs. So I have no point of reference. Um, Allen Edmonds does have a boot that's called the Higgin Mills. It does not have the mock toe stitching right here. It's just a standard boot. But I think what makes these so distinctive is that mock toe. For me, that's really the big thing, and of course, just the overall shape. Now, the Higgins Mill does have a very similar shape up there, or up here, I mean, but it doesn't have the toe is a little different. It's a little too plain, a little bigger, and I didn't like I thought the toe box was a little big. So, I don't think I touched on this. This is a size 9 boot. My standard shoe size in dress shoes is a 9.5, and my standard regular shoe size is like a tennis shoe is usually a size 10, up to maybe a 10.5, depending on which brand it happens to be. But with the Aldens, I measure out a 9.5. My 9.5D. I am the straight up universal sized foot, which is great because there's always going to be a shoe size available for me. Let's put it that way when I go and shop. But with Aldens, I everything I read was go down a half a size. I went into my local town. Like I said, found a store that sold the 403's. I tried on the 403's, and I was like, okay, that's what fits. Actually, they were supposed to have gotten in an 8.5 just to double check. We're supposed to call me, but I actually never heard from them, so that's a bummer. But either way, one last final thought on this. I actually am planning on getting the 403's as well. Not because, I want a darker boot or anything like that, or a different Indy boot or whatever, but I want them so I just have a different color contrast depending on what I wear. I think, if I needed a black pair of boots for whatever reason, I get their black ones. There's no way I just have no interest in ever buying another ankle height boot from any other manufacturer again. For me, this is the creme de la creme, the top of the line. For me, I understand there are other boots and there's other manufacturers, but for me, this is by far the best thing. And if you can swing it, recommend it. Do it. I don't think you'll regret it. If you do, send them back. That's what I say. Anyway, thanks for listening again, and I'm gonna go wash my nasty hands now from touching that damn thing. So, peace out. Bye.